Okay, so obviously since the last time I made a video, a lot has happened.
No one has ever waited as long to stand on a Formula One podium. Get rid of that stat and celebrate.
In terms of my channel, not a lot has happened. There's a lot to cover, and I'll be honest, I don't really know where to start. I guess purely so I don't swear in the first 20 seconds of this video and get it demonetized, I should start by saying the reason I've not been uploading for the past 2 weeks is just because it's been way too hot to record. Now that does sound like I'm over exaggerating, however I did try and record and then my PlayStation kind of shut down, so I genuinely couldn't record. Yeah, it's probably alright now. More importantly, Nico Hulkenberg got a fucking podium. I will do a video on the Hulkenberg podium eventually. I kind of feel obligated to. I've been waiting 12 years for this moment, and I've received an unhealthy amount of abuse and mockery from all my friends. Even before I had an opportunity to say something, I'd already been kicked from the group chat. It's not saved anyone though, because I do plan to milk this for the rest of my life. But focusing on this video, we're returning to My Team Career Mode. Now the reason this has taken so long to come out is because, as you may have seen if you've seen the first video, it's not easy. We're going to be covering 2 races in this video because, I'll be honest, not a lot really happens. The Caterham is an extremely slow car compared to the rest of the field, and also when I recorded these 2 races in this video, it was immediately after Australia and I wasn't very good at the game. So following on from recording these 2 races, I decided I'm not going to record anymore. I'm going to practice in this game and actually try and achieve something in this Caterham, so that I'm not just coming last every single video, because you've seen me come last in every single race in a Caterham before. That's pretty boring. So without further ado, let's get into how much I suffered in this Caterham in the opening week of F1 25. Fuck me, that was a long time ago. It's not alcohol, but it should be. I may need it. Practice in China went kind of okay, I guess. I mean, I absolutely bottled a fuel test. The race runs, admittedly, they're an easier test. We do manage to accomplish that, so we get something from this practice session besides the humiliation. But when it got to the qualifying test, I had absolutely no hope. I was really suffering with this qualifying session. I managed to hit a barrier at China that I don't think anyone has ever hit in their entire life. And with that humiliation, I decided I'm going to call it there. As someone that's never really liked China as a track, it was very early on in this race weekend that I decided I just want to get through this as quickly as possible. I'm not really too fussed about results. Especially with the car, I kind of knew what was going to happen. I also forgot to mention this was the sprint race weekend, which means we've got even less practice. Not only that, it's going to be raining in qualifying and sprint qualifying. This game is currently hitting every single mark to make sure this experience is as unpleasant as possible for me. I'm already in a Caterham. Please show me some mercy. I saw the rain was getting lighter and the track was drying up throughout the qualifying session, so I decided, instead of suffering on the intermediate tyres because I know I can't drive in the wet, I'm going to wait to the last possible second, go out on track on the mediums, and ideally, top SQ1. Let's see how it went. So at the time of recording this, I was yet to learn that the delta for dry tyres when the track is drying up, it just lies to your face. So we'll be starting Caterham's first ever sprint race from the back of the grid. It cannot possibly go worse than the last time I drove a Caterham at this track. I don't really know how he's managed it, but Dirkson's actually had a pretty decent sprint qualifying. Nevertheless, 5 lights. Lights out, and away we go. It's actually been a pretty good start for us. We're going to get Behrman and Stroll off the line. Maybe go to the inside line of turn number 1. Let's see if we can stay out of trouble. We've made it further than in 2015. No, we haven't. We've got floor damage straight away. We've at least got round turn 1. And we're going to go up the inside of a couple more drivers, look to the outside of our teammate through turn number 3. But realistically, the damage is already done. And just after turn number 1, it looks like we're on track for an even more unpleasant experience than we were expecting before the lights went out. We send it on Hadjar and Dirksen. Then we have a very slow... My preview's running in slow motion. I had to think about it then because I didn't know if that was just how slow the car was, but no, it's definitely the preview. As the following doing through turn number 13, we fall victim not only once, but twice to the floor damage on my car. We actually managed to stay ahead of my teammate and Hadjar just because we got on the way. However, it's the worst possible time to make a mistake like that because it's following a massive straight, and you know what, with the help of battery I'm actually holding on to this a lot better than I expect, but down towards the hairpin. Dirksen goes around my outside. I really should let him go. I don't really know why I didn't. I'm not a very good teammate. Why is he in the pit? Yeah, this was the story of my sprint race really. It was just very depressing. I was somehow managing to fend off Ajay Hadjar, mainly because he's massively underpowered in this game. He should be a lot faster than he actually is. But yeah, this was... I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was shit. I was not having a good time. As you can tell through every single turn 13 that I made. I was just... I was just suffering. Absolutely suffering. Thanks to the floor damage I had no grip in the corners, and thanks to the car and the engine I had nothing in a straight line. All in all, this wasn't a great Formula 1 car. Who would have guessed the Caterham branded F1 car wasn't very good? I decided to call time of death on lap number 5 after hitting the curb through sector 2 and having a rather spectacular spin. I'd kind of reached my limit by this point. And by reaching my limit, I of course mean let's go to the next race and let's do it all again over a longer period of time. And of course, for qualifying for the main race, it's raining. Hopefully I've learnt my lesson this time and I will be going with the intermediate tyres. I won't be gambling on the dries. It was drying up throughout qualifying, so I used the same tactic as I did in sprint qualifying, except this time I stuck with the intermediate tyres and not the dry tyres, so I waited to the very end. I tried to be the last person getting their lap in. Maybe we'd be able to benefit from it. So far my wet times haven't all been impressive, but as we come through the final corner, I am currently a second up on my time. And you know what? It paid off for once. We qualify P12. We don't qualify P12, we're just through to Q2. We're going to qualify P16, let's be realistic here. The strong qualifying didn't last though, as we go out in Q2. But we do manage to beat Jack Doohan. We're not last. My goal going into this race was just to finish the recording. I didn't even really care about the race, I knew it was going to go downhill. So let's see how it does go downhill. Lights out and away we go, and honestly, it's a pretty decent start. We don't really have anywhere to go and we very nearly get brake checked by Hamilton, losing a position straight off the bat into turn number 1, but we've made it further down in the sprint race and we're going to look around the outside of as many cars as we possibly can, inside line for the following corner. Unfortunately though, I don't really know how, but I still didn't manage to make up any positions other than Hadjar, and then it looks like he's going to drive clean around my outside into turn number 6 before we get to the braking point. I almost get brake checked by Hamilton again. We go up his inside, but on traction and with any sort of power needed with this Renault engine. Of course, the Ferrari beats me, but we've held on to P15 despite my best efforts of trying to lose it on the curb. Given my driving standards at China, that is an unbelievable I've lost it again. Purely because I was battling ahead, I was actually able to stay with this pack within DRS and within Slipstream, and somewhat pulling away from Hadjar. Who knew this car was easier to drive without any sort of damage to it? I didn't really have the pace to make up any sort of positions without forcing my way up the inside. The second we got to any sort of straight, I'm sure the Ferrari will breeze past me, but it's still a nice ego boost to have being able to overtake a Ferrari and a Caterham. It's a drag race out of turn number 4, and sure enough, there's the Ferrari powered engine versus the Renault. But into the braking zone, he brakes horrendously early, allowing us to hold position. Have a look at the inside of Jack Doohan. Renault versus Renault, and you can see we're actually pretty level on the exit of the corner, but on the outside, we're just not going to be able to carry the grip or the speed around the outside of him. We do, however, get a poor run out of turn number 6, and once again Hamilton is looking around our outside through sector 2. We're going to make it nice and easy for him. We're going to lose it on the curb and give him the position, as well as Hadjar and Gasly and Lawson. We had a good run. It lasted 5.5 laps. It's time to return to my rightful place of right at the back of this grid. We just about managed to stay ahead of Behrman down the straight into the hairpin. We've got the two racing bulls battling into the final corner. Hopefully they can run each other wide or make contact and we can just get past the pair of them. I didn't factor in the lack of downforce this car has. So I run to the back of Hadjar. Looking back on it, and honestly in the moment, that was a horrendous mistake to make. And I hate myself for it. As you can imagine, from this point is where all the positivity from this race falls apart. With the wing damage for an entire lap, I don't really know how George Russell is battling me for P19. Regardless, he doesn't really need to battle me too much because, especially through the long right-hander onto the back straight, I've got nothing. And apparently I've got nothing in a straight line either. I don't like China. It was very much on lap number 7 that I realised I don't really like China a lot in general. On this game, I absolutely despise it. So much so that I wishfully do a Hamilton into the pit lane, hoping there's a gravel trap to collect me and end my race early. Unfortunately, they've taken that gravel trap away.
We had an issue attaching the front wing.
Of course you did. To my surprise, I did actually end up seeing someone for the rest of the race. Mainly because there was a yellow flag ahead into turn number 1, and George Russell is somehow having a worse race than I am. The fact I'm in P21 right now and only 3.5 seconds off my teammate is astonishing. Normally after a comment like that I'd call myself the GOAT and be really egotistical, but I do feel like it's a bit too soon after what happened with the RBs. Not only were we massively outclassing George Russell, we were also making up a position and guaranteeing our spot not in last place because Pierre Gasly retired from the session. Obviously I did absolutely nothing spectacular to earn that position, but I'm going to take it regardless. Speaking of taking it regardless, I feel like George Russell is about to absolutely abuse me down this straight. For some reason we go defensive. It's a Mercedes. We're in a Caterham. We're going to make contact with him into the hairpin. It's a very pitiful and pathetic attempt to hold position. Obviously it's not going to work out, and just to add a cherry on top to our misery, we get a 3-second time penalty through the final corner. I'll be honest, I didn't really care. It did also feel like the game had had enough of me as well, because it gives me a warning coming into the pit, which I know is possible. It's still a bit bullshit.
Issue attaching the front right wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put that behind us and get back into this race.
I mean, just... do I even need to say anything? Thankfully I ended up getting lapped, so on lap number 27 we get a lap off, but we finish the race. P21.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
I don't care. It's over. I hate China. Next season it will be a reduced calendar, and I can promise you China will absolutely not be on it. So that's why this video has 2 races in it, because China was embarrassing. Unfortunately, Japan is worse. But before we jump into that, I just want to show you, because you may be thinking, oh, you know, he's just terrible at the game. Valid. However, I just wanted to point out the performance difference between the Caterham and every single other team. A lot of my comments have asked me to do a full season in the 2021 Haas. I kind of feel like I'm already there. Just for a bit of a change up, I decided for Japan, I'm going to drive as Dirksen. It's not really going to change anything, although in practice, it actually went pretty well. I don't know why I'm trying to build up optimistic positivity, because I've already made it clear that this race is going to be filled with nothing but depression and embarrassment and... oh god. After finishing practice 1 in P3, I did have to go check after the practice session just to see if I'd accidentally changed the difficulty, because obviously after China it did feel a bit weird to be suddenly quick, and it turned out no, I hadn't changed the difficulty. And this unbelievable pace would actually continue into qualifying. My banker was absolutely nothing special. I'm pretty sure I made a mistake judging by that delta, but my second lap, it was as good as in practice. No, it wasn't. That's P17. That's not good at all. It's good in terms of I'm in a Caterham. I remember it being better than that. Maybe it's my last lap that's actually pretty decent in qualifying. We're going to start off in the slipstream of Jack Doohan. Thank you very much, Doohan. Don't forget to close your DRS on the way into turn number 1. We're worryingly still down on our delta despite having slipstream down the straight, but through turn number 1 and 2 it's pretty clean. We're still down on our delta. I remember having a good qualifying in Japan. I think. Watching this delta, I'm really starting to doubt that. We're going to end Sector 1 a 10th down on our fastest lap time. It would turn out I didn't have a good qualifying in Japan. I genuinely have no idea why I thought I did. So I'm sure you're thinking, what could possibly go wrong for me to suddenly lose this optimism and this pace? What could possibly happen?
No fewer than 12 world champions have been crowned at Suzuka, but who will be tasting glory today at the checkered flag? We're approaching lights out, and we can't wait for the Japanese Grand Prix.
So I'm sure you can imagine how badly this is going to go, because this is my first experience of F1 25 in the wet. Before we get in the way though, there's one very important thing I needed to do, which for some reason I hadn't done earlier on in this game. I really needed to shut Crofty up.
Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes, delighted to say that we're joined today by Anthony Davidson.
I suddenly feel a lot more optimistic for this race. Here we go, don't expect anything special because you will be disappointed regardless of your expectations. Lights out and away we go for my first wet race on this game, and do you know what? That start is actually pretty damn good. We're going to look to the outside of turn number 1. I'm absolutely terrified because I have no idea what the car is going to do. We're going to run wide, somehow not get any illegal overtakes. And you know what? We're currently in P14 behind Liam Lawson. We're looking at the inside of Liam Lawson, and we've actually, never mind, we've not got the move. Overall, that is a solid start to the race in wet conditions. P14, we've kept the car on track. That has been overall a phenomenal start. However, competing with the AI in the wet conditions, when you've never experienced the wet conditions on this game, you don't really know how to set up the car or how to drive the car, and you have no confidence whatsoever. Even the likes of Lance Stroll can make you feel emasculated, humiliated, worthless. We do our best to fight against him and actually manage to hold him off through the first sector, but at this point, even if I hadn't been fighting Stroll, I was slightly concerned about the pace of the AI. I knew this wasn't going to go well very early on. I knew I didn't have the pace or the traction. This, I could easily blame the car, but having driven the wet in multiple cars throughout this game, it's just me. I cannot drive in these conditions. I will say now, Japan was arguably even more soul-crushing and devastating than China, mainly because throughout the dry running in Japan, I actually felt really good. And going into qualifying, while it wasn't by any means a good qualifying session, there was a small part of me thinking, I might not finish last here. By lap number 7, the gap was 15 seconds to Zagazeta. And it's about to be a lot more. And jumping to lap 17, I was a lap down. I'd amassed a 30-second penalty because I was just holding people up and not getting out of the way, because, let's face it, I wasn't in the best mindset at this point in the race. And at the end of lap number 17, I come into the pit to retard a car because it was only at this point I thought, do you know what? I think I may be out of it. So Lando Norris wins Japanese Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda shows how badly his AI is programmed by not only getting a podium but also beating Max Verstappen. And Verstappen somehow graciously takes P3 from pole position without getting a penalty or taking anyone out. Again, much like Tsunoda, I feel like that's unrealistic. And just to top off the absolute dumpster fire that has been these last 2 races, someone in my team is being cancelled on Twitter. You can't write it. See you in Bahrain.